Have you ever felt yourself trapped in a cycle of what Zig Ziglar may refer to as stinking thinking, or in a pattern of behavior that you just, you know, there you go again, right? Like you just hate doing it. Or you know that you want to feel a certain way, but the emotional state you're in is like a loop or a holding pattern of a plane. Hi, I'm Vaughan. We're going to talk about pattern breaking today. And a good illustration of this is, think back to the last time you got into a really heated argument or fight with someone, and you're holding that moment, and you're in that moment, you cannot get out of it. You're seeing every reason you're right, every reason you're justified, and you're fighting, and it just keeps escalating to the point where you've completely forgotten what you're even arguing about. All right, so in that moment, we need to exercise something called a pattern break. And why is this important? Because it's a great way to train yourself to regulate the emotions that you're feeling, because sometimes the emotions that we're experiencing, even though we should feel them, are unwarranted. You know, it's not always warranted to walk around feeling sad. I mean, if somebody's died and you've suffered an extreme loss, of course, I mean, that's a warranted emotion. It's absolutely right and justified to feel that way. I mean, we have negative emotions for a reason. Feeling sad, anger, hurt, guilt, disgust, right? Like, they're there for a reason. The question is, do you experience patterns that go for too long that you know are formulating the wrong beliefs that are moving you in the wrong direction? And if the answer is yes, then pattern breaking is the key. And the example is, we'll come back to the fight. In the moment of a fight, if you were to just drop a funny joke in the middle of nowhere, the other person starts laughing, well, you've just broken the pattern. And often they'll go back, what was I angry about? And you'll notice that their emotional states change. They're lighter, they're brighter, their faces change, the color of their skin is different, their lips may be less thin, they're a bit fuller now, and their pupils are dilated because they've just released dopamine. They're happier because of this little joke. Now they have to go back, why was I angry? And you can see them trying to find a way to get back to being angry again. What's really fascinating about that moment is the fact that they have just completely changed the way that they were thinking, feeling, and behaving from the pattern break that you just created. What does that teach you? It teaches you that you don't have to be your behavior. You don't have to be any particular state. I think that's incredibly powerful. We do this in marketing. In marketing, you know, someone's scrolling through Facebook or in a social media feed, and then boom, a cat video shows up and they stop to watch it. Well, they're just guiding through, boom, their reticular activating system notices this cat video, they start paying attention, and then maybe there's a marketing message over the top of it. Buy my program, you know? That's what a pattern interrupt is. It is basically somebody's automatic, unconditioned way of doing life. Boom, already interrupted. Now my attention's here. Why am I focusing on you? I'm noticing this for the moment, and then we've got that few seconds to then put a marketing message in front of them. Well, pattern interrupting yourself is really, really important, because if you are self-aware and you start to notice you're in a certain behavioral loop that is not serving you, like you're stuck on the couch for too long watching Netflix again, the pattern interrupt is key. So Tony Robbins talks about this one, the physiology you hold your body in, right? Like putting yourself in a state of unbelievable certainty. So if you're lying on the couch and you're feeling depressed, you need to get up and go for a run. It changes the state you're in, right? Doing some sort of radical move physiologically changes the emotions that you feel. So another way to think of it is Paul Ekman. Paul Ekman is known as he's the Times 100 most influential people. He's the guy that created and studied micro expressions. So, you know, he went and studied tribes back in the 60s and essentially found that it doesn't matter what language we have or if we're different cross-culturally, we have micro expressions. And the combination of the thousands of different muscles in our face, when they combine in different ways, create a facial structure that represents an emotion or how we feel. So for example, when we smile, you know, that might denote enjoyment or happiness. When we frown, we might be angry, sad, or disgusted. And he said there's about 5 universal emotions cross-culturally. Of those, I think 4 of them are like negative, right? One is positive, that's enjoyment. So what does that tell you? The other 4, you know, sadness and disgust and anger, for example, are like very cross-culture human traits that we have. And if we move our facial expressions to a certain way, for example, to create enjoyment, we have to move muscles under our eyes, right, to a certain way, and only 10% of people can do this, we will feel enjoyment, even if we're not actually doing anything that's physically enjoyable. If we frown and we put our face in an expression of say, sadness or hurt or anger, we're going to actually have a correlating emotion, which I think is quite fascinating to play with. So if we notice our facial expression and we notice our physiology, we can pull those two together to break the pattern of what we're feeling. So I'm aware as a dancer that my posture not only is important for movement in time and space and to be in control and to have balance, but it also makes me feel confident. I feel in charge. I feel certain about my way towards doing life. So I'm acutely aware of how I hold my body. I'm encouraging you to do that. Today's exercise is to just notice the patterns you're in. We all have patterns of behavior. How we wake up, we might feel a certain way. How we interact with a coworker. A certain coworker might make us feel one way, another one a different way. Why? Notice those patterns. If you don't like the pattern you're in, change it. Remember the pattern breaking. It's like this. We're aware of the pattern we're in. We break the pattern by doing something ridiculous. Maybe we jump up on the spot. Maybe we tell a joke. Maybe we clap. Maybe we do something silly. Then we replace it with the behavior that we want or the belief we want, and we alternate. And I think it's a fun little exercise because as you start acting out in the world, remember, acting in accordance with your beliefs and your values, you'll also sometimes realize that the external events that are coming in, you might take them to be a certain way, and that will make you feel a certain way. And if you don't like that feeling, well, you can start to regulate it and change it by breaking the pattern. This is Vaughan. Enjoy breaking your patterns this week.